Well, hey there, everybody. How's it going? It's another edition of the Stakeout. I know you've been waiting for me. You've been just sitting there going, "Oh, when's he gonna come on? I want to see him again. I want to hear the cool things. I want to meet cool people." Well, I've got a cool person for you. One of our ambassadors. This one I've known actually for a while now. He was an athlete of ours, but has grown into that and so much more as a person, as an athlete. Got to have beers with him on the side, meet his family, a bunch of fun, cool things. I'm going to let this ambassador kick things off and tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Trevor Hahn, and I was born and raised in Colorado on the Front Range, not too far from here in Loveland, Colorado, and Fort Collins. And I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and I've been blind probably since about 2014, totally blind.
So along those lines, like, how did that come about? Pre 2014. When did you start to like lose your sight?
So I've been pretty much, I guess, nearsighted since birth, but it came around high school where I started to lose more and more, where I couldn't see at night. I couldn't go on like dates at night or whatever.
Yep.
I was like,
I was daytime dater.
Yeah, I was a daytime dater, so I was like, this is dork. But I was like, okay, let's do miniature golf or whatever we do. But
yep.
And so in high school, like, I did that, and then it kind of got worse around 2008, where I couldn't drive a car even in the daytime, and then 2014, it just my optic nerve got damaged, and basically it was lights out.
Gotcha. Well, from then, or even just from when I've met you, impressed probably isn't the right word, but honestly, I was impressed with just how you carried yourself, how you have adapted to life, and then to be able to get outside and do all the things that you love to do, or even if, and again, probably relearning things, especially getting in the outdoors. It's just something that I've loved to be a part of, or been a part of, and continue to like watch you grow and the things you do. What are your favorite sports to be involved in?
So I really got into, I didn't do this before going blind as much, but I was really into rock climbing, and we would, it was just friends going out, having beers at the Craig or whatever, nothing serious or anything. Yep. And now after going blind, I actually got really into trad climbing, which is a totally different animal.
Yep.
Basically, it's putting your own gear in the rock, clipping ropes to that, and using natural anchors and things like that. And then also along that lines is ice climbing as well. Really, really, I had never ice climbed. I never even expected to be ice climbing. I was like, those guys are crazy. When I was like, when I could see, I was seeing this guy on this like little thin piece of ice, like on a waterfall, and I was like, I'm never going to do that. And then what do? I just go do it. But And then snowboarding I had been doing since, so I had skied since 5 till age 17. Then about in high school, when the cool kids were doing it and all that, like I switched to snowboarding. And so there were only snowboard parks, no terrain park. Like, skiers were not allowed. It was no skier. That had a no symbol with the skier thing that said snowboard park. So I was like,
push back.
Yeah, so basically I was doing tricks. I was doing all of that stuff from 17 until age probably like I guess probably 35 or so, or 40, until I became blind. And then but now I'm just getting back into it all with a whole new perspective.
Yeah, along those lines, like getting back into it, you started over, I think, the last few years in that you've been hitting like the mini pipe, right?
Yeah. So last year I was like, I did like my first black after losing my sight,
Yep.
and then I was like, I told my guide, hey, let's just go to the like mini pipe and see what happens or whatever. She's
The
like,
best
what?
mentality.
Like she's like, what?
I don't need to go in there.
And then she's like, well, like I know nothing about like the half pipe, so let me call my friend from Stars and Steamboat,
Yep.
and so she was like, yeah, the Trevor's like stoked to do that. Yeah, I'm stoked to like guide him through there. So we go up to the top of the lift or whatever, and then go through that. Like I just rode through the park. That's on my list, is to get back into like features in the park. But
Yep.
we just wanted to do the mini pipe, and so I dropped in, did a few turns, but then I was trying a 180 because I was like, I'm not just gonna go in and like turn up the wall and
You got to try at least one. Yeah, something.
So I tried something. So I basically, my last like hit on the like toe side wall was a backside 180, but like I like hit my tail too much, and it sprung me. So we're working on that. So I'm gonna probably get that in there again this year and try it again.
That's awesome. No, I remember you telling me afterwards, after you had done that, and it's awesome. No, and I imagine like, the body awareness, a lot of it truly comes, in the beginning, it's like a visual timing and the feeling thing is there, but yeah, to like kind of start that process over again and then feel your body and having that control and knowing when you're up high enough to actually like pop, spin, land, it's got to be something.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like total like cool because all these other skiers, snowboarders were like, usually you can't like get in the park, but they see this blind guy going to the top of it, and they're like, oh, we'll block for you, just go. And
no, and it's true. Like most times when you see, a blind skier, snowboarder, they're just doing the runs. And they're not. And along those lines, honestly, I think you could do one of the wide flat boxes that are at the very top. That I think you could do no problem.
Oh yeah. We've got that on our radar, and also the first for the pond skim at the end of the year, maybe.
Yes. Please. Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. All right, let's jump away from snowboarding for a moment. Good. So you're into climbing. What kind of like what inspired you to get back into climbing?
So it was more, so getting back into the climbing, it was to actually see nature again. When you're hiking or you're you just walking or whatever, you only have your feet are only contacting the
that's all you're getting from it.
But when you're climbing, you have 4 points of contact, and it's a real slow thing. And I'm really into art and sculpture, so the rock formations were very sculptural to me. So I was like, hey, this is cool. I can just feel all these as I go up, and and it gave more independence where I didn't need a guide snowboarding. So it's totally a right fit for a vision impaired or blind climber to do that.
No, that is awesome. Along those lines, what were some of the first challenges you had to overcome as you got into climbing as a blind climber?
So the most challenging part of climbing for me that I had to overcome was basically these approaches to the climb. So it was like, it's chossy, it's like bouldery, it's very hard, and you know, you don't have like sure footing all the time, and you
Yep.
only have 2 points of contact with your feet.
Yep.
And then I'm like trying to not get poles stuck different places, and
Yep.
so like everyone will tell you, yeah, the approach is like the most heinous thing of the
No,
whole
I've
thing.
seen some areas where people climb, and I'm like, how did they get there? To
Yeah,
then go actual climb.
yeah, you're sliding down stuff, and sometimes you climb like 1,500 feet of vert, just to climb 300 feet of vert, or like
Yeah.
like 1,500 feet of, yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
of pitch in that.
pitch
Yep.
in that,
No, totally.
to do vertical climbing.
What was I gonna? There was another one I was gonna ask, but we'll go to this one next. Oh, actually, I just want to mention or like ask you, climbing wise, you're now starting to teach some climbing.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I've been teaching a few clinics at this Adaptive Climbers Festival in Kentucky every year. It's at the Red River Gorge,
Red
and so
area.
I've been teaching other vision impaired and blind climbers how to mainly crack climb, because I feel crack climbing is very intuitive for a blind and vision impaired
Yep.
person, rather than a face climb where you're traversing. You have to rely on your belayer
Yep.
much more about which way to go, and then but a crack, you just follow this whole thing up. So like basically Indian Creek and Moab area has these splitter cracks that just go all like 150 feet up,
Yep.
and they're just like perfect. And so yeah, and then you can going back to the trad climbing, like placing gear in there, it's very easy to, you can place it anywhere basically, and
Yep.
just as long as it's good placement. But sport climbing, which has bolts bolted into
Yep.
the rock, that's like finding a needle in a haystack for someone blind, you know,
Yes.
basically.
I can definitely see that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So when it comes to just being an adaptive athlete in general, what advice would you give someone that has had something happen, a change in their life, and now they still want to try and go do the things that they used to do? Do you have some advice for them to on how to pursue their goals?
Uh, yeah, I would find a support system or a community that, you know, helps you get back into these things. So I found an organization called Paradox Sports,
Yep.
and they're out of Boulder, Colorado, and so they mainly focus on climbing, like rock climbing and ice climbing. And then, you know, I've found stars up here for snowboarding.
Yep.
But yeah, just finding a community to build friendships and trust with other adaptive
Yep.
athletes out there, and then you can kind of, you know, build off each other and help each other out. So I mean, it's very hard to find someone who isn't adaptive to help, because they don't know really if, like, okay, this blind guy's like wanting to do this,
Yeah.
like what am I getting into or something.
Yeah. No, their perspective is completely different.
Yeah, so it's nice to team up with like other adaptive athletes. They might have a different, like one leg or a spinal injury or whatever, but you can team up. So I carry a lot of weight because I carry tons of weight, but they guide me, you know. So we just kind of make it work.
No, working as a team.
Yeah,
I love it. That's awesome.
so
For the people out there, and remember, you're learning all this on the Stakeout. How can people follow you? Like social media, that kind of thing.
so I have an Instagram and Facebook called Trevor Hahn's Art Through Touch. So it's TrevorHahns Art Through Touch, and that's kind of like my signature thing there.
Check it out. Wait till you see his artwork. You're gonna blow your mind. Speaking of that, again, no sew patches.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Kelly and No Sew Patches.
Yeah.
Some of his artwork are now patches to fix your gear. And I don't know if I told you this or not. one of them I think I want as a tattoo.
Oh yeah, you're welcome to use
I'm
it.
really, really considering. One of them is like my.
Which one is
I
it?
have to.
Well,
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah,
But I was like, that could be a rad tattoo.
I think all of them. I have
Well,
other
they all
ones.
could be. Yes. There was one that stuck out a little more than the others.
Yeah.
All right. Little wrap up. Superhero. If you were a superhero, what would be your power?
Okay. I would actually be able to like squirt beer out of my finger into my mouth.
Do you see why I have them on here?
Any type of beer.
Could be the best superhero answer ever on the stakeout. Yes. All right. Next. You're stranded on a deserted island, and it's going to be your last meal and beverage. What are they?
Okay, the beverage is easy
Mm-hmm.
because my wife and I went to Belgium, and there's this monastery that makes beer called West Vleteren, and it's considered the best beer in the world. And so, if you look on eBay, it's going for like $90, like 90 euros
A bottle
or a can or whatever.
Yep.
And so you go over there and they allow you a 6-pack, like a month or something.
Oh wow.
And so like you go over there and get this. So we brought some of that back. Okay. So basically West Vleteren beer from Belgium. And then for food, I would probably have to say, well, I just probably lasagna.
Ooh,
I'm a lasagna.
That's a good twist. We haven't had lasagna here before either. I love it.
And so, I mean, lasagna fills you up. My wife makes the best lasagna, and then like from our garden.
See that shout out, getting points with the missus. That's awesome. Nope, I love it. I think that's great together, and then some.
Yeah.
Trevor, you're the man as always.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks. Fist bump.
Yep. Thank you guys for tuning in and meeting this rad individual. Don't forget Trevor Hahn's Art Through Touch. Check him out. Follow him. Do whatever you need to do. Come to the boat. Come snowboarding with him. I'm finally going to check that off the list one of these days. We're going to figure it out timing wise. But love having you guys join us. Have a great one here on the Stakeout.